What is up, my friends? So I had the chance to go see First Man at an early screening, and let me tell you, this movie, besides its shaky cam, grainy footage at points, and sometimes it felt a little off, was pretty good, I might say. I think that the moon scenes, the space scenes, well, I'm getting too far ahead of myself. First Man basically deals with Neil Armstrong, the first man to ever walk on the moon, and this movie is more on the side of, yeah, we landed on the moon, we've seen countless movies about going to the moon, going to space and stuff like that, but let's see the human side. Let's see what these people had to endure in their family life with their friends and all of that, and let's leave the moon landing for a final climax, you know? And that's what this movie does. It focuses on the human side of astronauts and what it takes to become an astronaut. And that's what I really dug about this film. I thought that it was an interesting aspect of something we've never really learned about, because I knew who Neil Armstrong has been since I was like in kindergarten and heard about him, but I never knew who the man was and what he went through to get to where he was as the first man to ever walk on the moon. And I think that story, now I'm not saying that the moon landing isn't incredible, but what I am saying is that I think Neil Armstrong going through what he did, and especially what he did to risk it all to be one of the first men on the moon, was definitely something that should be applauded and should be learned about. Because when you really watch this movie, like when I was younger, I thought about landing on the moon was like, whatever. But we have to remember that they did this during the 70s when there was like no technology that we have today like that. And it's pretty astounding how they managed to like dream up this dream and basically get to it at the end. And it was sort of awe-inspiring by the end of it when you see them on the moon and you remember everything that this guy and, well, everybody involved went through to get to where they are at this point, because there was a lot, not just failures, but actual people died to get this mission to happen. And you see all of that happen, and then you finally see the moon. It just makes you appreciate it a lot more, what these people went through. But anyways, I'm here to talk about the ending because I think it's something that should be talked about, because in my theater I heard a lot of what the fuck. So this movie, basically, as I said from the beginning, is not about the moon landing. It is not about that at all. It is about this man named Neil Armstrong and how he went from being a pilot all the way to being one of the first men on the moon. And what made this story incredible is that we saw that he went through his own demons. He had a lot of things he had to overcome. Besides the training and all of that from NASA, he had his own struggles as his youngest daughter actually died, and like they say it's from cancer and stuff like that, because they talk about the tumor and all of this. So this is something that's been plaguing him throughout, and it's a demon that he doesn't conquer until he actually gets to the surface of the moon. We see the bracelet he's been holding that has her name and everything. Now, whether this happened or not, I'm not too sure. I haven't fact checked it, but he takes that to the moon and he drops it into a crater. Ultimately, I think that him doing this has shown that he is like okay, he's coming to grips with it, and I think it shows a lot of that. And I think we follow him through a progression of 6 years and everything that happens between that and everything that affects him, from some of his friends dying on missions, and it's just an astounding story. Definitely one to check out. By the end of it, however, in the last 10 minutes, we see them go to the moon. He's walking on the moon. As I said, he drops the bracelet, then he's in quarantine, and his wife comes to see him, and we see that he's in the quarantine zone, so they're like separated by the glass. And I think that's what's really telling about this story, is that I think that he was always in quarantine throughout the whole movie. And I think that's the sort of metaphor, or they're trying to give off by the end of it, is this glass was always there, but by the end of it we see him try to like come to touch like his wife's hand, but through the glass. And it's just sort of a representation of how life has been for him. He's just been sort of like in his own little box looking outside, and everybody's around him and they're sort of there to contact with him, but not really making that human contact. And it seems that he's ready now to really get out there. And I just think that's what the ending means, is that Neil Armstrong went through all of these struggles. He finally made it to the moon, and he's like proven somewhat for himself. His spirit is still there, and I think that's what's the most great like ending to this film, was just that shot of him and his wife with that glass in the middle of them, because it really shows a representation of where he was throughout the film and now where he's going. Now, I might be reaching, and you might be saying I'm talking too much about the ending like that, but that's just my opinion. That's what I felt. You let me know what you thought about it. A lot of people I saw from the beginning of this film, when it was announced, were getting pissed off that there was no like sticking the flag on the moon scene and whatnot. And we do see the flag, and I do like know people wanted that like sort of patriotic feeling, but I feel this is a first man movie. This is not a moon landing film, so I don't think that was necessary to include. I was more invested in Neil Armstrong as a person than I was on the actual event that was taking place. Although the event is grand and whatnot, I think the story hasn't been told, and I think that's what the focus of the film was. So the flag is there, so don't get like too riled up on it. You do see the American flag, and I thought it was interesting as well to see the different aspects of people's opinions, like some people who were protesting NASA for spending millions of dollars on this mission to go to the moon, but the poor weren't being fed and whatnot, and all the senators. I thought that was pretty interesting to take all of these events and put them into this film nicely packaged. Things that don't really get talked about like that when you talk about the moon landing. But either way, I enjoyed this film. What do you think of it? Do you like it? Do you not? Damien Chazelle, best director. There were some points where I thought that the shots looked beautiful, and there were points where I was like, what the hell did you shoot this on? Ryan Gosling as best actor, I can definitely see that coming. Claire Foy should definitely be nominated as well. There's one scene in particular that's really intense, and I was like, damn. So anyways, let me know your thoughts. Comment all that below. Make sure you subscribe. For 6,000 subscribers, we're going to do a special. So make sure you hit that subscribe button. Make sure you hit that like. Make sure you follow me on Twitter, WordPress, all that good stuff. I'll see y'all next time. Stay positive.